Good morning, Baylor School. Welcome to this edition of Friday Assembly. It's good to see you all here today. We have a full and exciting program ahead of us, and I'm going to invite Ms. Bowen Johnson up to the stage to introduce our first... we have a special musical offering, and Mr. Oakes is going to introduce that.
Good morning. My name is Mr. Oakes, and I am privileged to be the chair of the Fine Arts Department and the director of choirs here at Baylor. This morning, we are fortunate to present to you a piece that we had prepared for this week in preparation of Mental Health Awareness Week. We're going to have the chance to observe that a little bit later on this semester, but we were grateful for the opportunity to go ahead and still share this with you. The piece is entitled, "I Shall Not Live in Vain." Ms. Ott would know that that is an Emily Dickinson text that has been celebrated and performed for decades, and it speaks about sometimes we feel insignificant, we feel small, we feel not worthy. But the poetry and the music set by Reese Norris, a living composer in Mississippi, tells us that no matter what, your life is not lived in vain when we do even small acts done with love and with care. And so we're delighted to share with you this morning by Reese Norris a setting of "I Shall Not Live in Vain."
Shall Hey y'all, I'm Bowen and I'm introducing our 3 senior speakers. First up is Richard Liu. Richard is a talented pianist and enjoys playing video games. His friends describe him as being one of the hardest workers they know and someone who is always ready to help those around him, especially with math. Please welcome Richard.
Good morning, everyone. When people talk about growth, I believe they would imagine something like trying new things, making a step closer to your goals, or becoming someone different. That's definitely true, but for me, there's something more to that. Oftentimes, I felt like I was returning to the same challenges, the same questions, or even the same habits. In my mind, this kind of returning is another kind of growth, as I always understand something more each time. It's much quieter, but sometimes it can be very meaningful. Music has accompanied me for 15 years. I started to play the piano when I was only 3 years old. It gradually became an integral part of my life, especially reflecting how I grew and changed along the way. I attended Chinese public school before high school at Baylor. Very different from here, there are many regulations in everyday life, such as homework and required memorization, which took up most of my time, both inside and outside of class. These regulations seemed to be helpful, as I could get better grades after constant practice. I began to accept the mindset of discipline and repetition, believing that following rules carefully and working hard guaranteed success. Of course, the drawbacks were very clear as well. These regulations made me feel uncomfortable with uncertainty and caused me to lose the ability to solve problems on my own. I sometimes ran into problems that didn't make sense immediately, and I just couldn't come up with an idea, even though I had learned a lot. I felt like I was always returning to the same questions without truly understanding them, so I never learned how to approach them correctly. Just as I always made the same mistakes in one piece of music, I never learned to truly understand it. As I grew older, this kind of situation happened more often. Stepping into middle school, the pace of life sped up, and the subjects I learned grew in difficulty. I realized that I couldn't understand all of them rapidly just by constant practice. And I also found that trying to control everything often made the situation worse. This realization became very clear when I did terribly on my first midterm exam. I was ranked 4 from the last in my class. I had never felt so lost. That moment was the first time I realized that repeating the same methods was not helpful at all. Instead, it prevented me from moving forward. I need to reflect on what went wrong and return to the same problems with a different mindset, one that focused on understanding. There was one piano piece I played when I was very young, and I believe many of you must have heard it 100 times. Similarly, I also returned to the same melody, but the variations within this piece gradually develop. The chords become more complex, and the articulations grew more expressive. Each variation represents a different level of understanding, which is a perfect reflection of my personal growth, how I face challenges, and how I approach them. As I play, I invite you to listen to how the same melody evolves from simple to complex, from direct to hidden, from subtle to expressive. Thank you, everyone. Over time, I learned to approach challenges more patiently and adapt my way of thinking. I began to realize that it's natural to face the same challenges again and again, and that returning to them doesn't mean failure. I started to focus more on the why behind the problem, why it didn't make sense, and what I was missing, rather than just repeating the process. This is where my growth had occurred, always returning to familiar challenges with a deeper understanding each time. Before I conclude, I want to give thanks to those who helped me learn this quieter growth. First, I want to thank my parents who gave me their full patience, trust, and support. You encouraged me to find my own understanding, even if there are no immediate answers, especially when my growth didn't look like constant progress. Second, I want to thank all my teachers who guided me through my entire academic career. You challenged me to think more deeply and taught me to view uncertainty as something worthy to exploring. Finally, to all my friends and classmates, I want to thank you for growing alongside me. We have faced challenges and encountered struggles, but never alone. I used to believe that growth meant constantly moving forward, doing more, and avoiding the same mistakes. But as I come to Baylor, I learned that growth could also mean slowing down, reflecting, and learning to approach familiar challenges in a new way. In both music and life, I found growth in listening to the same melody more deeply. Thank you.
Next up is one of my best friends, Ruby Dozier. Ruby has been my roommate since I first started at Baylor. She is the only person that could have dealt with me and my mess these past 3 years. One of my favorite memories of Ruby is when we were sitting in our room one night and I said, "Ruby, can I talk to you?" And she replied with, "You can talk, but I'm not going to listen." Despite that, Ruby is a kind, loyal friend and never fails to make me laugh. I knew I was in for a treat when our first night together she started crying laughing at a reel of a goat named Waffles. Ruby, I'm so grateful for you and I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Vaughn. My family of 6 make it a priority to travel every year together during Thanksgiving break. A few years ago, we decided to visit Peru, a trip I had dreamed of since I was little. As we began preparing to hike Machu Picchu, visit Cusco, and spend time in Lima, our suitcases were filled with clothes for various temperatures, excluding the beach. This would be the perfect trip. The plan was my brothers, who were students at Baylor at the time, Lee and Sam, would meet us at the Atlanta airport. As we stood in the Atlanta International Terminal, my mother's face turned from excitement to dismay as my brother Lee is carrying a laundry basket of clothes and Sam has a book bag full of wet clothes for a week-long trip. This may surprise some, but this was nothing new in traveling with the Doziers. After a classic speech of getting the easy stuff right from my dad, we were ready. As we began settling into our gate, awaiting our flight to Peru via Panama, we were filled with excitement. But as boarding time got closer, I began to notice a lot of activity around our gate. We were soon informed all planes had been grounded. We were offered tickets to anywhere in South America via Panama, but every destination would be leaving in a week. The disappointment set in. A carefully planned trip was turning into a moment of uncertainty and last-minute decisions. In the rush of the moment, we decided to take the flight the next morning to Panama. With little knowledge except for the Panama Canal, the Doziers were determined, as always, to make the most of every trip, turning the unexpected into an adventure only a Dozier family could fully embrace. That choice marked the start of a journey completely different from what we had imagined. After arriving back at the airport, all with suitcases this time, we were eager to begin our next adventure. As arriving in Panama late that night, we frantically booked the first vacant hotel we could find. Soon realizing we were in a somewhat questionable neighborhood, it became obvious that tourists were not regulars here. My mother had spent weeks planning our perfect trip to Peru, containing plane tickets, hotels, and guides to Machu Picchu. We found ourselves in an unfamiliar place, facing the unknown and unsure which way to turn. In a moment of stress and confusion, my parents turned Juan, a kind and resourceful taxi driver, from our hotel. With his patience, guidance, and generosity, he helped them navigate the unfamiliar streets to the local airport. It was thanks to him we found La Isla de Contador. With the plan finally in place, our excitement to explore Panama grew, and Juan offered to be our personal guide, kicking off our adventure with a visit to the iconic Panama Canal. The boys quickly unloaded with fishing poles and headed to the canal, but were quickly approached by the police, explaining it was not only illegal, but the waters were infested with crocodiles. The next morning, anticipation filled the air for my siblings and I, while my parents sat anxiously, hoping we would have a place to stay at this unknown island, which we never got a confirmation on. That thought never crossed my mind, though. I wasn't sure where we were going, and I didn't think my parents did either, but I believed it would be better than the first place. We soon arrived at La Isla de Contador. To our pleasant surprise, George, who owned the hostel we were staying at, was awaiting our arrival on a golf cart. Greeted with a friendly smile, my parents' previous worried face had turned to smiles. Within an hour of arriving on this island, home of only about 200 residents, my brothers hit the beaches fishing, and Lee managed to flag down a local fisherman in a 20-foot panga, which is a small open boat perfect for navigating the island waters. Because of his limited English, we had to rely on my dad's even more limited Spanish, but language didn't matter. His care and generosity spoke for themselves, guiding us patiently, offering tips when we were able to understand him, much like Juan had done in Panama City. Together we spent our days in reeling mahi-mahi, wahoo, snapper, mackerel, and many other fish. Every catch smelled like a small victory. Our Thanksgiving meal became a celebration, shared with a fellow traveler, centered entirely around the fish we had caught that day at a local beachfront restaurant. When it was time to leave, we said our goodbyes to the island and headed back to Panama City, carrying with us memories, laughter, and stories that would last forever. With a pre-booked hotel this time, unlike our earlier travels, we spent the day exploring Old Panama and enjoying a long hot shower, bringing our wild, unplanned adventure to a close. This unexpected trip taught me the true value of travel lies not in the perfectly planned itineraries, but in adaptability, resilience, and mindset. When our trip to Peru fell apart, I learned how to make the most of every situation rather than dwell in disappointment. By navigating unfamiliar places without a plan, I discovered the importance of being a traveler instead of a tourist. Embracing local experiences, connecting with people, and appreciating where I was rather than where I was supposed to be. Watching my parents' ability to plan an international trip as we were landing, remaining calm and resourceful, and not being afraid to ask for help, reinforced this lesson. What began as a setback became one of the most meaningful adventures for my family, reminding me that the most memorable moments often come from embracing uncertainty and choosing curiosity over comfort. Seniors, as we leave Baylor and begin our next chapter, it will be filled with the unknown, friends, college, and future jobs, and you may think you have it perfectly planned now, but there's beauty in the unknown. Thank you to my parents for managing to pull off such an unforgettable trip. Watching y'all embrace the unexpected taught me to find joy in uncertainty and made me realize that being together meant more than the destination. And Lee, Sam, and Neely for never allowing there to be a dull moment on all of our vacations. And thank you to everyone at Baylor that made my experience extra special. Thank you.
Last up is Millie Ranero. Millie is exactly the kind of friend you want to have by your side. Her laughter is contagious, and she will always give you a shoulder to lean on. Even though Millie is one of my best friends, I look up to her as a role model because she is one of the strongest people I know. There is no one else I would rather be with 24/7. Millie, I'm proud of you, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Ascending a flight of stairs, step by step, hand gripped to the railing beside me. I used the sturdy piece of polished wood to pull myself to the next step. Suddenly, my hand began to slip. The next part of the railing was missing. Immediately, I stiffened and I could not step forward. My family has always been the most important thing in my life, my railing, guiding me along every step. Anytime I needed advice, I relied on my mom, dad, or older brother to know the answer. Even if I thought I understood something, I turned to them for validation. As each year passed, I still expected them to show me the way. The steps got steeper in 4th grade. When I was 10, my father called me out of school unexpectedly. Excited to miss my classes, I sprinted towards his truck. Knowing now how my life would change, I wish I had slowed down to enjoy those last few steps to his door. The last few steps I took with my hand on the railing. When I shut the door, my dad told me that my mom had been diagnosed with brain cancer. My instinct was to grab the railing. I thought, why is this happening? Will she be okay? As I curled up in the front seat, arms wrapped tightly around my knees, I was dependent on my railing to ground me. While I waited for my dad to give me an answer, his expression changed. For the first time in my life, my dad's eyes filled with something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. I don't know. These 3 words from my father's mouth knocked the wind from my lungs. He had been my sturdiest piece of railing. I depend on my dad just as most people depend on their father figures. However, being 10 and believing my dad knew everything, the fact that he did not have an answer and could not come up with one pushed the railing to break. I was stuck. This is the moment when I realized our parents do not have the answers for everything. All I could do was accept what was happening and hope the staircase stayed in place. Not long after that drive home, my mother passed away. These stairs collapsed beneath me. I fell into a reality where nothing made sense. I was a little girl forced to grow up without her mother. Throughout middle school, 4 more deaths occurred in my family. With each death came a new uncertainty appearing in the eyes of someone around me. I realized no one truly has the answers. I began to abandon the idea that our world was meant to make sense. I took a step up the stairs. Throughout all the trials of my childhood, the comfort I needed did not come from the answers my parents gave me. It came from knowing they were there to support me. A support for the moments I struggled to make sense of something in my world. With every death, I could count on multiple people by my side to guide me up the staircase. From the unanticipated trials of my childhood to the travails of high school, unconditional love and support from those around me allowed me to build my own handrail as I tentatively tried each step. The part of the railing I thought broke off with unanswered pieces from my childhood never really disappeared. I just lost my grip. The point of this speech is not to make everyone a little sadder than they were when they walked into chapel, and it's not to try and evoke sympathy or compassion. The purpose of this speech is to leave you with the most important lesson my trials have taught me. Do not take any day the Lord gives you with the ones you love for granted. You never know when you might see them again. This idea is preached to us every day. However, practicing it is an active choice that often slips our mind. Leave no conversation angry or frustrated, but instead, make the other person's day a little better than it started. In high school, whether we mean to be unpleasant or not, the things we say can penetrate through others. Although our high school experiences will end, the words we have exchanged with one another can never be taken back. Do not let the last thing someone hears you say be negative or cruel. Let go of the little problems in life that feel insignificant when compared to the blessings that you have. Do not waste your precious time stressing over little inconveniences of which you have no control. Let things happen as they do and persevere. Thank you to each blessing in my life. Thank you to every friendship I have made during my time at Baylor. Each of you have taught me something that I am grateful to walk away with. Thank you to Bone and Ruby for teaching me true friendship, full of understanding and especially full of laughter. Thank you to my dad and my brother for being my built-in best friends who have been with me through everything. You have taught me strength, resilience, perseverance, and so much more. I would not want to go through the trials of life with anyone else. And finally, thank you to my mom, my guardian angel, my biggest role model, and the kindest person I've ever known. I aspire to be a light in the world just like you were in mine. Thank you.
Good job, guys. And now we have some announcements starting with Moonshot.
Hey guys, happy Friday. I'm Caitlin and this is Chase. We are part of the Moonshot After School Club, or After School Program. So next Saturday, on the 7th, there will be a fun and free design sprint hosted by the Moonshot Design After School Program. The goal of this event is to come up with the craziest solutions to one of the big problems in our world, like world hunger, cancer, climate change. We're going to break people into groups and assign a problem, and everybody's going to come up with as many crazy solutions to it as you can. So it's a great opportunity to brainstorm cool ideas, beef up your college applications, and have a chance to win prizes. There will be free snacks, and you can earn a free dress day for participating. If you're interested, you can email Moonshot Design or go talk to Dr. Herrera in weeks 103. Thank you, and we hope to see you there.
Hello, I'm Wyatt McDaniel.
And I'm Wesley Chi, and this is a reminder that tomorrow in the dining hall at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. there will be productions of the Winter Players Children Plays written and directed by us. It will be completely free, no ticket needed, just show up, and there will be cookies and cocoa provided by backers.
So if weather be fatal tomorrow, we'll be posting updates on the social media pages for our shows. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone, happy Friday, this is Warren. If you got an email for club pictures, yearbook photos are happening right after assembly at the flagpole. This includes GBR, all international boarders, Perry Actoy members, Baylor Artist Society members, and other clubs who have received an email. For seniors, you guys have a class photo immediately after chapel next week, Monday, February 2nd. And lastly, Perry Actoy is our school art magazine. It's for artists, photographers, and writers, and we will send out an email with more descriptions about it. We're doing a real photo shoot, picking student athletes and artists, and one of you will get a cover, like our Instagram post that some of you guys might have seen already. So follow Perry Actoy Official on Instagram. That's it. Clubs to the flagpole, Perry Actoy on Instagram, seniors class photos next Monday after chapel, and thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren, and thank you, Richard, Millie, and Ruby, for your messages today. I love that our seniors continue to share. I love that we have a community that fosters that willingness and desire to share how we want to make a positive difference in the world. And I think it says a lot about our community that we continue to have seniors demonstrate that each day. Can we give our seniors one more round of applause? As you've heard me say before, it's one of my privileges to be able to welcome back alumni to campus. For us as teachers here at Baylor, it's one of the things we really love to see is to watch you grow up and develop as Baylor students, and then to go off into the world and chart all kinds of paths. And it really is rewarding to see you all be successful in life and then come back and share some of that with us. We have an opportunity today to honor one of our recent alums who's had a lot of success beyond Baylor, and we're certainly excited to welcome him back. To preview that, we have a little video that we're going to show you. So if Rev Farr can take it away, and then I'm going to ask Coach Price to come up and give an introduction.
is going to be a star in this league.
The dude's one of the best hitters in the game.
But he's unbelievable. It's great to have that type of player in your locker room that can impact the game with one swing.
It's not supposed to be that easy. He's done it again!
This guy's on fire!
We're going to have to make up a new word for what he did to that ball.
A mammoth home run for Kurtz. Swing and a drive, deep to left. He's done it 4 times.
One of the best hitters in the game for the foreseeable future.
All right, give that some. Yeah. All right. Hey, one of the best things about coaching is you get to build connections with some really special people, and probably I can say I'm speaking for Coach Ellie, who's standing right down there, our head baseball coach, and the guy that I'm going to bring up here in just a second is obviously one of the toughest competitors that either one of us have ever had the opportunity to coach. When Nick Kurtz was here, he's a 2021 graduate. He's a 3-year boarding student from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Nick helped our baseball team to state championships in 2019 and 2021. He also led our basketball team to the state tournament during his sophomore and his junior year. Nick went on from here, was an All-American twice at Wake Forest in baseball, led his 2023 Wake Forest team to the College World Series in Omaha. In 2024, Nick was the number 4 pick overall in the Major League Baseball draft. And then in his rookie season in 2025, as you saw some of the accolades on the screen, Nick became the first rookie in the history of baseball to hit 4 home runs in a game against the Astros. And then also went on to win the American League Rookie of the Year and the 2025 Silver Slugger Award. Come on up here. And I want to introduce the rest of you guys to Nick Kurtz, class of 2020. You want to say anything or not? All right, I promised we wouldn't have to say anything. Hey, do this, though. Come, obviously, most of you guys will be there tonight at the Baylor-McCallie basketball game in Duke Arena. We're going for 10 in a row against McCallie tonight in basketball, and we're going to honor Nick at halftime. So thanks again.
What's up, guys? I'm Hartley.
And I'm Heath.
We got a few announcements for y'all. Last night, the women's basketball team beat GPS on the road 50-46.
So last Friday, our swim team took on GPS and McCallie. On the girls' side, Baylor dominated the meet, finishing first, second, and third in 7 of the 9 individual events and sweeping all 3 relay races. The final team scores were Baylor 227 and GPS 85.
Let's go.
Matter of fact, special congratulations goes to Anna Bennett Curtis, who was named National High School Swimmer of the Week.
The highlight of the night came from Ethan Gover, whose 2014 in the 50 freestyle set a pool record at McCallie and a new Baylor school record. In addition, Hayden Vicknair, Ethan Gover, and Luke Hugo posted times that ranked among the top 15 fastest in the country last week. The final team scores on the boys' side were Baylor 189 to McCallie 124. Let's go. Tonight, as you know, we play McCallie in our house. Let's go. Be there. Be loud. Seniors, we got 66 days left. With your help, we are dismissed.
We're also going to ask that the current basketball team and the current baseball team come down front for a photo with Nick, too. So basketball and baseball teams, come down front.
Chris came in on 2 wheels.
Let's go on this side. Are we doing just one or one with each?
Awesome. I think one with each. What do you want to do?
I don't care. Maybe one with each so they can share on their Instagram. Alright, just baseball. Oh God, sorry. We'll do the baseball picture first and then basketball.
All right, baseball first, then basketball.